Welcome to the Social Chameleon Show, where it's our goal to help you learn, grow, and transform into the person you want to become. Today, we're talking about how to buy a home, frequently asked questions about buying a house. Before we get started, this isn't meant to be legal, real estate, or investment advice. This is intended for information and educational purposes only. Please seek a professional in your area.
Yeah, I always got to put those disclaimers out there.
People do dumb shit, and they blame it on other people.
Yeah, you know, it's, unless you're us, we just take credit for it.
I own my shit. You did that dumb shit. I saw it on TV, thought it was a good idea. Probably wasn't.
But I still did it. I don't know. But anyway, so just kind of, I guess, getting to the whole thing. I mean, yes, I am a licensed real estate professional in Hawaii. Again, we're not here to endorse stuff. I'm not here to sell my services or anything like that. If you do have questions about anything, please leave a thing in the comment. I may not know everything there is to know about real estate in every single area, especially in the continental U.S. or outside of the U.S. in general. But real estate in general is a slow-moving asset class. It does take some time and preparation before you can actually close on a deal. But as far as getting, the wheels turning and all that kind of stuff, just know that from the time that you actually get an offer accepted to the time that you actually own the home, on average, is about 45 days. So that being said, just kind of know that, hey, just keep that in mind and moving forward. So I guess question number one, whatever the case might be.
How do you start to buy a home? What does that look like?
What do we do to get started?
How do we get started?
I don't know. I guess, that's a long, thought out technical answer, I guess. Isn't that kind of,
yeah.
What you hear? I don't know.
Yeah. When I was thinking about this, I was like, all these things, I'm going through my head. I'm like, I check my credit. What's my debt? What is this? And you're like, listen, slow down, bud.
Yeah. I guess we were joking about it the other day. It's it's kind of like having a kid,
right?
You're never really fully prepared to have a kid.
That's for sure.
Yeah, if you no matter how many books you read or whatever, no matter how many times you practice, no, just joking. But anyway, practicing having a kid and having a kid are just completely different. But until you actually hit the ground running with this stuff, and it's not going to come to you. My short answer is for sure, get a team. In school, they teach us teams are bad, but in real life, teams are really good.
Collaboration is your friend.
Find somebody who has either bought a house before or is at least helped people buy a house before, aka realtor, or it doesn't have to be that. It can be a real estate person that anyone that has been through that process before. Most people kind of need financing as well. So, have somebody that's gone through the process before, have somebody that either has access to money or is going to lend you money, and then go online. It's as easy as that. Just basically, we all got these nowadays. This kind of old school little eye touch here, but we all got these little smart things. Just turn it on and start looking. Some of the popular thing, I think we're gonna put some up in the show notes or whatever. But
yeah, I'll put all the popular realtor.com, MLS.com, and all those things.
From there, Zillow is a really good one that people use, even though realtors don't like that. But they do have information out there. Trulia is another one. Heck, you can even go look in the Sunday paper if you don't have access to it. Go look in the Sunday paper. They got tons of listings there, tons of houses that are out there. But getting started, it doesn't really require much. You can get started. But again, like I mentioned in the beginning, just understand from the time you actually start putting offers out there and from the time that you actually own the house, it may take some time.
Right.
Yeah. But that's where you're going to have a team of people that say, hey, look, this is kind of what I like. This is kind of what I want. And, then, that your team can be like, okay, this is what you need to do. Then. X, Y, Z, do A, B, C, blah, 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 daisy.
Yeah. And then, the thing I learned, you were talking about those other, I don't know what, I guess I'm going to call it unofficial sites like Zillow and all these things. You're saying that these listings can be a bit outdated, or the house could be already bought or in escrow. Like the update time is a little slow. So better to go to the kind of closer to the source a little.
It just depends on the website. They are somewhat lagging in the event that, sometimes, people who work for Google, like the translation gets lost in the coding because the information comes directly from the multiple, MLS stands for multiple listing service in your area, and then gets disseminated to these websites. However, these are secondary sites that are not the original source of the information. So just kind of know, like, if you see something that says active, it may just mean active, continue to show, that kind of thing, where they have an offer or the property is actually in escrow, but they're still looking for offers to come through. So, again, I'm trying my best not to prompt realtor, but the MLS service is made up of realtors and realtor associates, or whatever the, case might be, professionals who, we have time frames that we need to update this information and handle this information in a timely manner so that it's accurate when it gets to you. And that's kind of, how we can price things and how we can look at things, because the information is deemed to be accurate. Secondary sites may not be accurate, but again, at least you will get a picture of what things are out there.
Yeah. And I went on, after we had this conversation, I went on the MLS.com, and it's not the prettiest site, but it's easy to use. It's easy to look at stuff. I typed in my zip code, and I had that problem when I was looking for a house a couple of years ago, and we were on these popular sites or whatever popped up on Google, and I'd call my realtor and be like, hey, I want to see this place. She was like, yeah, that's sold already. Yeah. And it's like, it just said 4 days ago. She's like, yeah, it's sold already. Like, so I firsthand experienced that problem of looking at these auxiliary sites and nothing being available.
Again, that's kind of where, you go out there and get your team,
Right.
And then from there, it's just kind of, I guess, leading into the next question, right? Like,
right. Yeah.
Tips for finding either a good realtor or, in this case, a good team member. You basically want to get people who, I don't know, for me, I find it's a lot about personality. Like matching personality types. Like if you're this alpha dog, like, man, I gotta own the best house on the block. I always gotta be like, you know what I'm talking about?
I've been there, done that. I always gotta be right. Last word, I'm trying to get a little better at that.
Like,
but
just keep that in mind. If that's your personality and if that's who you are as a person, like, you need somebody that can communicate your wants and needs, or your opinions to the other side. So if you're this alpha dog personality and, like, your realtor is this really shy and, kind of quiet person, like, don't get me wrong, opposites attract and they work in that situation, but is that person really going to be able to communicate how you want the transaction to be done? Like, kind of got to think about that. And this, basically, the other thing too is the strategy, like we're talking about, like, what kind of, how are you looking to do this? What, find someone who has either done what you're trying to accomplish, right? Like, or is, can at least help you and give you examples of, hey, I don't know where to get started, but this is what I was thinking. That person should be able to tell you, okay, well, with what I see, here are a few different strategy options for you, that kind of thing. So,
yeah, like, don't discount these, people's experiences. A mentor or whatever, a professional, they've got the experience and they've got the things that you don't. No matter what you think, take what they have to say and think about it for a sec. Like, don't discount that thing.
I mean, that's kind of the other thing too, is like, I walk into situations and, like, I start giving my advice as a realtor, and then, the owner of the home will start telling me, well, the house should be able to sell for this, and it should be able to do that, and it should be able to do this. And I'm like, maybe we're not a good match here. Like, maybe I'm not the best person for you, because I'm the professional. I'm telling you what my advice is, and you're not listening to it. Like, you need somebody that is going to listen and, be in alignment with what it is you want. I try my best to be in alignment with as many people as possible. Believe me, I'm a very flexible person. However, when I come across somebody who we don't mesh well, like, what I'm trying to explain, what I'm putting down, they're not picking up. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, definitely.
Then is no offense. Let's just, maybe I can refer you to my other friend, and he or she is a great realtor. They're gonna take good care of you, but I don't think we're a match. You know what I mean? Well, you kind of had a similar thing too in Ford, right? What do you call that? Pass off or something like that?
Yeah, right. Like when when I worked at the dealership and stuff, sometimes like you're saying that you just don't mesh well. The personality clashes or two alphas or something like that get together, and it's no shame to pass the customer off or the client off to somebody more suited to help.
Exactly. And that's it. You want to find somebody who's suited to your needs. So and Tyson, you're talking the other day too, is like, don't be afraid to fire people.
Yeah.
If you're with auntie, uncles, cousins, Bob's, nephew's roommate, like,
right.
You know what I mean? Like, you don't have a relation to that person.
Yeah.
But, you feel the obligation there, or maybe you started down this track with this person, but, ultimately this is something that you want. You got to work towards it. Like, if this person is not going to work towards it with you, then, hey, sit down, have that conversation. And at least maybe if some of you are listening to this and you're in that situation, that person can always take a referral.
Right.
You know what I mean? They can say, okay, I found XYZ realtor, blah, blah, blah. And like, we're not meshing well. They'll be like, yeah, here, let me pass you on to somebody else. And that original person may get a referral fee.
Right.
Not everything that they were going to get had they helped you, but they can still get something out of it. And then you can free up their time. They're not going to waste your time. You're not going to waste their time. And you're going to all have a smoother transaction. So I don't know. It kind of depends.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Like I see a lot of that in not just this space, but a lot of spaces. Like, well, we got this relationship. It's my friend or whatever. It's like, that's great and all. You can be amicable and say, listen, this isn't working out for me. I've got to go somewhere else. It's going to be better for you in the long run. You're going to have less frustration and on and on and on.
Bring me to that 12 rules, man. Like, no, I don't want to buy your toaster. Quite frankly, don't come back here. Like,
but that's the thing. Even I was reading a book the other week about lying, and it's like this is the thing. We create these small things. Oh, I'm trying to be nice and polite, and down the road, it makes things 10 times worse. It's just saying, you don't have to be an asshole. I've learned that the hard way.
Yeah.
But it's like, listen, we're not working well. Like my vision, your vision, like this just isn't working. And I despise your phone calls. I despise your texts. You may not say that, but just that message, like, listen, hey, you're a great person, just not for me.
Yeah.
Can you bounce me somewhere else or something? Don't be afraid to say that stuff. Don't be afraid to be honest. You don't have to be a dick, but just be honest with people. Like, listen, hey, you look fat in that dress, and I'm sorry, it's not the dress, it's your fat. Yes, that hurts people's feelings, but at the same time, you've got to get that across and be like, listen.
I know. I'm thinking more of the Wayne Dyer approach. It's just like, oh, I'm gonna agree to disagree and peacefully wish you to be on your way, and we can both feel good about this. And I'm gonna move on, and I'm gonna let go. Like,
use Ransom's tact. I'm a little dickish.
You're just fat, bro. It's not that shirt you wear. You're just fat, dog.
Does this dress make you look fat? No, the fat makes you look fat.
It's like, cut it out, dude. But again, there are ways to either tactfully do it.
Yeah.
But, just kind of understand that once you start feeling obligated to somebody, once you start feeling like this is something that kind of takes away from the whole process. Now it's about keeping this relationship versus getting what you actually want, and you don't want that to happen.
Right.
Yeah.
And then I guess in my mind, I get probably being a questioner. The biggest thing I want to know is, what do I need? What I want to be prepared. I want to have everything. I need data. What do I need? Like walking into the loan officer, the realtor, like what should I be prepared with? What should I have gathered?
Generally, when you're meeting the realtor, you basically want to show your best personality and get out there, kind of have some idea and some strategy what you want. I guess we can talk about that later. But be able to open up and tell them what's going to go on, and ultimately you will need to get some type of financing, or maybe you have cash. But either way, you got cash, you'll need less things. if you do require some type of fancy financing, then you're gonna get the typical stuff, right? Your last 2 years of W-2s or I-9s or whatever you get, your pay stubs, some kind of ID. Generally they kind of want to see the paper trail, you know what I mean, of your assets, whatever that may be. If you are gonna say that, hey, I'm gonna put $300,000 down, people want to see some type of paper trail, like, hey, let's see a bank statement that shows that this money has been in your bank account for over 6 months. You know what I mean? That kind of thing. Or usually if you have that kind of money, you'll have a personal banker, and that personal banker can write like a little signed letter. If you're going to get gifts from people, there's a gift letter that you can get, those kinds of things. Some of the other things, I guess this kind of came about back in the days when we had the ninja loans. People had no job, no income. They just
You mean that whole meltdown around 2008 we had? Is this where this came from?
It was just a market correction. It wasn't a meltdown. It was just a market correction.
It felt like all kind of shit was melting around me. I mean, I took advantage of it. It was fun to make a lot of money during that time. But
it was just a market correction. But it just after that time. Nowadays, what they do, if you have a job that has variable income, let's just say I was a realtor for, I don't know how many I feel old now. I was going to say like a decade, but or whatever, 12 years I've been in the business. You kind of make different, like 1 year you'll make a lot of money. The other year you won't make as much. So they kind of take your tax returns and they kind of average out the money that you made in those 2 years. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So that they kind of get a streamlined baseline as to what you can afford. And then for those of you that are going to get out there and get business loans, I don't know what your strategies are, but if you're a big corporation or say like a S Corp or something like that, and you want to get out, just have the paperwork of your business, and that's what it is. And then for those of you that want to get started, I mean, the internet, just open up your smartphone and start looking. It doesn't take much to do that. Anybody can do that. It's like,
they got all those. I keep seeing commercials for apps and stuff. You just enter a few things and import your bank stuff, and then boom, they give you like a baseline for a loan and stuff. It's like really getting really streamlined and simpler nowadays.
And those of you that have a home, you just want to refinance and take some money out. They got like those rocket mortgages.
Yeah.
All that stuff it's amazing nowadays.
Yeah.
The internet and cell phones and how fast everything moves. It's really crazy. Crazy.
What about like you were saying earlier, like learning your wants versus like your needs in a home?
Yeah, I mean, and this is not like what you need to buy a home, but basically
what you want in a home.
What you want in a home or what you need in a home. Like I guess this takes me back to my early days. Back when I was a young little whippersnapper. Whatever. But I went to this class, and this guy was like, okay, so you're trying to help a buyer purchase a property. All right. And now as a realtor, right, you need to figure out this person's wants or this person's needs. And then he brought up that conversation. He's like, so what happens if the buyer tells you that they need a pool in their backyard? And then like everybody like raises their hand and like, that's not a need, that's a want. That's a want. He's like, well, I didn't tell you the whole story yet.
Right.
He's like, what if we told you that their son has muscular dystrophy and the only physical therapy that their son can get is in a pool? Like, like the light turns on. It's like, yeah, that's not a want anymore. That's a need. Like,
that's how you get fired as their realtor.
Yeah, exactly. And if that's the situation, it's like, they're not listening to you that you need this pool, and they're showing you homes that don't have a pool. Like, that's when you got to get real and either have that conversation with that person or just be like, hey, look, it was nice, but I think we're going to need somebody else. But, it's kind of hard. And this kind of takes a little soul searching to figure out, because most people, their want list, or should I say their need list, maybe? Is like,
I think these are my necessary, my needs.
A house in the hills. Like, I need to have like, a separate dining room area. I need to have like,
I gotta have a helicopter pad. I mean, it's mandatory.
Yeah, and just like gonna put that right next to the pony ranch, like,
How did you've been here before? I know you.
it's like, yeah, I don't know, but I mean, you just kind of gotta get through it. Some of the things that people don't think about are like location to work. Like, you know what I mean? Like they think that they need to live in a certain area or neighborhood, when reality is like if you live closer to work, like, yeah, it may cost more money if you live in town, but you save so much more time in your day. Like you can actually spend more time at your house.
Or the opposite. I know people that purposely live an hour from work because they want to live in the woods or whatever, and they want to commute.
That's true. Or then you got people that have like the personal touch, like your school teachers and stuff like that. They don't necessarily want to live in the same area that they teach.
Yes.
Just for, so you can create that barrier of people. So just, sometimes things like that, number of bathrooms, like you got 7 girls living in your house, you're going to need more than 2 bathrooms. Probably.
I know when we moved into this house, Brown's like, we don't need 3 bathrooms. I don't know how many times every single bathroom's been full. And like, yeah, remember that when you said we don't need 3 toilets?
I'm not, there's not a sexist comment. I'm just saying in general. Girls take longer in the bathroom to get ready, whatever the case may be. Guys usually take a lot longer to do their business in there, if you know what I mean. I
do all my social media as I poop, so it's I'm in there for a while.
Get in his bathroom, Craig. Yeah, whatever. So just that kind of stuff. Number of bedrooms, square footage is kind of a lot. Some people think they need a really big home. Just kind of look at what you live in now. Like what you live in now, just kind of like get the square footage of that. And for most people, that's enough. Some people want to downsize, and they think that they can downsize. But that's when you're going to need a really good team member or somebody to be completely honest with you and say, look, I'm trying to downsize, but let's get real.
Listen here.
Yeah, I'm not sure you understand that that's a circle. You can't fit a square in a circle.
You know, downsizing comes with an estate sale, right? You gotta sell all that shit off because it ain't fitting over there.
Just like, or maybe have the garage sale first, looking for that down payment, go get that garage sale done. But basically learning your needs from your wants, like sit down and create this list of needs at first, and kind of go through them and say, like, is this something that I absolutely need, or is this something that's just a want? And that's what, me and my wife spent a lot of time when we were looking at a house, like, all right, what are the musts, and what can we compromise on? And sometimes it's frustrating, realtors trying to be creative. Like, do you really need a pool in your neighborhood or in your house? I'm like, I pull up and I'm like, where's the pool? Oh, this neighborhood doesn't have a pool. I'm like, I thought I told you. This is one, like, I'm not compromising on, like a park and a pool, at least in the neighborhood. There's no compromising here. A den, I could compromise on a den, like, but and
but we had a very solid list. Like these would be nice to have, but these are a must. The number of bedrooms, the minimum bathrooms, the amenities, like, and it was, but we went through that and we knew, like, like when we decided on this house, like there was a few things that weren't there, but the majority of them was there, and more things we liked than were not available. And it was really hard to get a house in a place with all the things on the list, but the necessities were met. And that's what we had going into this whole process. We knew already, as long as we meet these needs, the rest of the things we can deal with.
Yeah. And it's work in progress, but these are just things that, people have to hash out, and hopefully you have good members to kind of go through that with you and make that happen. And sometimes your needs become wants,
right?
They kind of go backwards. Like you don't need them when you get money involved, because sometimes what you need, you actually can't afford. So, you just got to go through and see that out. But generally knowing those ahead of time are definitely good. But I always remember that story. It's like, oh yeah, that pool, that's just a want. And then like you hear about their son, that's, they need this special type of therapy. And it's like, ooh, like, I'm that. that's like the eye opener. That changes the game. It's like,
Yeah.
how this becomes a real need versus something that we just wanted.
Yeah. And even I think that's a cautionary tale in your profession in general. If you deal with people like that, assessing that, I deal with that a lot. I dealt with that car sales. Is like people come in like, oh, I need an F-350. You have a house, trailer, boat? What? Oh no, I just want a big truck. Like, do you need an $80,000 F-350 to drive to and fro work? Maybe not. Like, but you got to assess that. Like, like, do you really need this? Or is it something you'd like to have? Can you, and then start to talk with them and having that kind of conversation. Like,
yeah, but they, that's just kind of working them out. Like the more that off the beginning, the get go, like you can kind of get to it, and you'll work through it. But
yeah,
it's just a good conversation. And then the next big question I normally get is like, how much money do I need down? Like
$1 million.
Over the years, it's kind of like been known, I guess, that, or maybe people don't know, but sometimes you actually need zero money going in. Like,
yeah.
Depends on what options you have available. And again, I'm not endorsing anything, but Bay buyers, man, like $1,500 total.
Nice.
Like
that's attainable to a lot of people, though.
But I'm just saying, like, that's all it costs. You walk in the door, get everything signed, blah blah blah. $1,500 down. That's $1,500. Done. Close escrow, and that's it.
Use your keys. Pay your payments.
That's it. Like, it's a pretty good deal.
That is.
You have some other USDA loans that are still available with zero down. It's not as cheap as VA loans. Whatever the case might be. But then again, it goes all the way to say, like, if you're going to go conventional, 5 to 10 is the average. And if you're going to go some type of investor loan or a non-recourse loan, kind of just depending what your strategy is, you're looking at maybe 30 to 50% down.
Right.
So, again, kind of weigh out the needs. There are times when it is beneficial to put more money down, and there are times when it's better to leverage your money. And hey, mortgages all-time low rates, or or historically low rates under 5%. You might want to finance more of that than put your own hard-earned cash to work there. Just saying.
Yeah, sometimes I look at people, I'm like, did you need to put $30,000 cash down when they were offering 0% financing on that car? That makes no sense. It really doesn't.
It just depends.
You can scrape out 0.5% in a savings account, and at least that's better than what you just did.
But then again, right, this takes us back to the want and needs, right? Some people don't feel comfortable having no equity.
Yeah.
It's like, that's originally, when our parents started buying homes, 20% down was the norm.
Right.
Well, because banks wanted some equity in there just in case the thing went south.
Yeah.
They could sell it and they would get their money back. So some people just don't feel comfortable going all out and leveraging every single percent that they can on it. I don't know, but that's not your strategy.
No, my strategy is to leverage where it makes sense. If I'm knowing I'm getting 5, 8, 10% return, and I can get a 4% loan on something, I'd rather keep my money and make 4, 5, 6% versus having to pay all of that and losing. I don't know. I like to make my money work as hard as I can. If I'm gonna get a 0% car loan, I can keep 30 grand in the bank at 1%. At least I'm ahead at the end of the day. I do understand people like to not have any debt, and they like to not have these things. My opinion, I feel like it's a waste of money, because that money is now gone and you can't have it work for you, versus I'd rather have the money working for me. Maybe even if I put half down and it had the other half working for a little bit. I don't know. That's like you're saying, it's up to you and your preferences. Yeah. I like to try and make my money work as hard as it can for itself.
Yeah, and this might be bleeding into the next question, but there are other types of creative financing.
Yeah.
If the sellers are using realtors to sell their home, there may be less of that going on, but for sale by owners or other types of things, they always have creative financing.
Yeah.
rent to own options, seller financing where you can go in the deal and, the seller will basically give you a loan. They
Yeah.
don't need all their money up front. They just be like, okay, we'll give you you can own the house or whatever, and we'll give you a loan for 100,000 or 50,000, whatever, and you just pay us back over 6 years. Like all those things are still available.
Yeah.
Other
And that's the thing. If you know of or you've heard these things, like sometimes talking to the other person and say, hey, have you heard of this? Like I was listening to this guy the other day. He was like, I went to this, I was trying to buy this apartment complex. I think it was like 65 million. I talked to the owner. I said, hey, would you be willing to finance some of it? He's like, what are you talking about? And he talked to them, and then the owner's like, that sounds like a great idea. I'd like to make a little extra. I don't need to do the work. And he wound up financing. He just needed $3 million down, which he wound up getting from somebody else.
Yeah, three
and he taught these guys a couple of things.
Yeah.
And he was I think he was only out of pocket like 200 grand or something like that on a $65 million property, something along those lines. My numbers may be a little off, but the premise is there. Sometimes if you know of these things, you've heard of them, you can start to talk to people. Hey, I heard of this thing. Do you know how to work it? Have you heard of it? And you can really, not only enlighten other people, but maybe even save yourself some money or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, it's just always, you never know what one thing's going to lead to another or whatever. Yeah. It's just not getting off, but we're talking about the Victoria's Secret owner, right? Like,
yeah,
he started his business or whatever. Like he sold it for like $4 million.
Mm-hmm.
And then the guy that bought it after that turned into like the whole sex appeal thing that we know of Victoria's Secrets now.
Mm-hmm.
That $4 million just turned to like 50 million, like,
right.
Just like, that guy.
Sometimes people don't see the vision or the creative solution or whatever it is. And you need to get, and that's the good thing. That's why, like we talked about in the beginning of this, getting a team, getting creative, collaborating, because everybody's got different ideas, experiences. Sometimes you get a few people together, you start talking, and next thing you know, you're like, oh crap, look what we just discovered, or we've worked out that maybe one of you on its own never would have thought of.
Yeah.
And then I think that leads us into, having or an entry or an exit strategy. Like, what is the point of buying this house? Like, why are you buying this? Is this the only thing I can get? Like, I want to just grab something. Is this maybe my forever home? Like, what are you doing going into the situation?
I guess for me, I've always been of the business mindset. So whenever I think about this question, I automatically think numbers. I automatically think, okay, how much am I going to make? How much can I rent it out for? But, the average Joe and most people, like, if you ask them what their exit strategy is, like, it's like, I don't have an exit strategy. Yeah. I'm going to buy this house. I'm going to live in it for my entire life. I'm going to raise my kids here. And when I'm done, I'm going to give it to my kids. Like, if that's your strategy, like, you already have your exit strategy.
There it is. Yeah.
You don't need to make money off this house. Nope. You don't do anything with this house.
Right.
You just own it and live in it and enjoy it. And that's your right to do so. And with your children, like, done, set, game, match. Like, that's it. You don't need to think about it or get too far into it. I mean, we talk a lot of business on the show, but this is just for the average person who do it. I don't know.
And that's perfect. I mean, and that's what, when we were chatting about this, like, these are the things that, like, that's okay. That's your strategy. Just know that going into this, maybe it's waiting a little bit more, to find something you absolutely in love with it. You want to live in for 50 years versus things are hot right now or market's down. You know what I mean? Like, thinking about these things a little bit in advance, I just want to buy something now and then I'm going to move and then buy something else and then rent that out. Like, thinking about all these things, just even if it's just a little bit, you can really set yourself up, I think, in my, to win the long game, having these things in place, knowing what you're going to do. Maybe you buy something a little shitty because, like, listen, I'm handy. I like doing carpentry. I'm going to fix this up over the years with my family and my kids. Who knows?
Yeah. And that takes us back to the whole thing of why people do it. Like, most people do it just to raise a family. But then again, I was telling you about that other strategy is that, I call it a loophole. It's not basically a loophole, but it is. But basically, if you live in your house for 2 out of 5 years, and that's 365 times 2 plus 1 day.
So 731 for everybody at home listening.
You doing math now? When did this happen?
I used the calculator. I wrote it down in advance.
It's like, wow.
I cheated.
I cheated. But and that strategy is you can sell your house 250 per person, married couples 500, like 250,000. Like that's decent sum of money for 2 years. Like that's 125,000 a year.
And what you're trying to say is that that'll be tax free. Is that what you're saying?
Yep. No taxes.
No taxes. So live in the house for 731 days minimum. Whatever appreciation in the house is yours tax free.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying you're gonna make 200 in those 2 years. I'm just saying.
But you could make up to that amount.
No, this is more of an advanced strategy. It's like I'm gonna buy this house now. Again, this is where time is on your side.
Yeah.
Well, the young people out there, I urge you to get out there and get into something, even if it's nothing. Because, yeah, you're gonna buy it, you're gonna get a loan for it, but eventually 30 years later, right, when you're of retirement age, and at least for us anyway, right, 30 years will be a retirement age. Let's just say we bought a house now.
Yeah.
Right. And then from there, in another 2 years, for say, right, we buy another house. And then in 2 years after that, we buy another house. You know where I'm going with this?
I
2
do.
years, buy a house. 2 years, buy a house.
And still live in your same original house, but buying other houses.
Or no, whatever.
Whatever.
You can live in that house for whatever. It's just
whatever which way you want to go.
Let's just say we did this 3 times. I know an example we use 5, but let's just say we bought 3 houses. Now we're getting close to our retirement years, right? 30 years is up, right? That whoever was renting that out or that investment property, they paid the mortgage off. So it's worth what we, or at least originally bought it for. It's probably going to be worth more than what we bought it for.
Right.
More than likely. Right. And let's just say that the houses we bought are all 250,000 30 years later. Now we go back and we live in them for 2 years. Then we sell them. And guess what? After we sell the first one, what are we going to do? We're going to move to the next house.
With $250K in the bank.
Yep. Live in it for 2 years. Then we're going to sell that house. And then what are we going to do? Live in that next house for 2 years. Like, you see how the pattern.
Yes. I like this.
As you're older, right? Like that's 125,000 a year.
Yeah.
In retirement.
On the side.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like that's kind of like, and this is where the whole.
It sounds like it's paying out better than some 401k.
Hey, I don't get me wrong. You're gonna incur some holding costs on those properties, right? Probably gonna have to pay some loans. You're gonna have to pay some interest. You're gonna have to pay property managers. You're gonna have some fixes along the way. But I'm just saying, in the later years, at the end, like those that think ahead. Again, this is an advanced exit strategy. If your strategy is that you want to live in it and give it to your kids, no problem.
That's a
perfect strategy. It's a perfect strategy. You want to live in the home and use the equity in your home to fund their college or to do stuff like those are all perfect strategies. You can live in your home and in your elderly years, instead of moving and selling, you just do a reverse mortgage. Like these are all exit strategies that are, make real estate such a very volatile asset. It's like you can do what you want with it. It's like maybe not volatile is the right word, but maybe
versatile.
It's a versatile or diversified asset in the fact that you don't have to just sell it. You can finance it, you can improve the property, you can do all kinds of things with real estate, which is why I got into it in the beginning. But anyway, that's more advanced. Again, if you're going to do that type of strategy, have a team, get some tax professionals, get some lawyers, figure out how that's going to work for you. But ultimately, that's a strategy. Just saying.
I like that. So what you're saying is I need to buy up houses all around the 49ers stadium?
I'm not saying anything, man. If that's what you're hearing, then that's just
what I'm hearing is
I'm not saying anything.
I need to buy houses within 30 minutes of the 49ers stadium. And then I'm just going to move from house to house
I
and I
don't
can
think
still go to games. That's what I'm hearing.
I don't think you heard the diversity part of that. Like you're
No,
buying
yeah, all around. You hear
all around each side of the stadium. That's
in
still
each
within the
city
state
around.
of California.
There's lots of cities around the stadium.
Yeah, yeah. If that's what you're hearing, man,
This is what I hear. I mean, I hear buy up houses near and around the 49ers stadium. This is what I hear. This is what I'm hearing.
Oh goodness!
I like this. This is my retirement now.
This is my retirement now. All around there.
All around the 49ers stadium. Hopefully they don't build another one. Damn, that would suck.
So, and then from there, I guess, speaking of the advanced strategy, we have the fixer-upper.
Oh.
That's kind of like the frequency, the frequently asked question is like, oh, I want to get a fixer-upper. And it's like, man, you stayed up late watching them infomercials, didn't you? What's that guy's name? Is like, I can show you how to be rich selling real estate. Like, just read my book. Like,
right.
It's like, oh man, there are so many shows on TV that just kind of either romanticize this idea or get it up. Don't get me wrong. It's definitely doable.
Yeah.
Obviously, there are people on TV doing it. However, you just kind of understand that they have a lot of professionals. They have a very big and sophisticated team.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes these guys have like money-making machines of businesses that just can spot these deals and get them done. And they're reputable. It's not in my opinion, it's not for the first-time person. If you like to step up to a challenge, I've known some people out there, it's their first-time home. They're going to go do the fixer-upper or buy, raw land and just develop it. Like, hey, by all means, that's but the learning curve on that, in my opinion, is pretty steep. Like, you see them on the shows all the time when they have like, like we have this pipe going through and like that wasn't in our original budget and now we got to, it's going to cost us and set us back. Like, just be careful. Fixer-uppers look like great deals because they are undervalued, but they are undervalued for a reason. Because just one false turn or one it's our foundation's screwed. Now we pay extra $5,000. Like, sure,
we got mold, we got asbestos. Who knows? Like, you're like, oh shit.
Just be careful with those kinds of things.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not here to stray you away from it. If that's your thing and that's what you want to get into, go get it.
No, yeah, absolutely. It's a great opportunity. But like we were talking about earlier, prepping for this, when I was in construction, the main thing I used to see a lot of is people did not have money or didn't have the foresight to set ahead. Like, there's going to be overages. There's going to be unforeseen things. If you don't use that, extra 10, 20%, good. But you've got to plan for that. Things take longer than they do. Like, you know these things going in. And then when these, especially in your first time, like, no, contractors are going to be late and there's going to be overages and there's going to be all these things. It's going to take longer. Like, know all these things going in so that when they do happen, you're like, this is my first time. I don't really know these people. I'm working on my team. I heard about, like, be prepared for those, first time bumps and bruises and not just going, oh, this is going to be easy. We're just going to slap some new paint on and throw some kitchen cabinets from Lowe's and be good to go. If that happens, hey, be prepared for the next one. It's not going to be so easy, but know that going in, like, understand what's happening.
This always takes me back anyway to Rich Dad Poor Dad. It's fail early and responsibly, man. I mean, get that fear out the way. It's just like, be prepared. Like, if this is your first time going in on this, like, be okay with, hey, if this doesn't work out. Yeah. That's all I'm saying. Yeah.
I know of a few people personally where they're like, yeah, we're gonna renovate this place. It'd be great. And they tear everything out and it's like, oh shit, that was a lot more work than I thought. Like, and then, some people have kind of lost a little bit on it. Some people just didn't make as much as they thought because they had to let it go because it was just too much work. Like, these things are happening. Unfortunately, they don't show these on the shows. And I don't want us to. I don't want to, like, discourage people though a little bit. Like,
no,
you know what I mean? Like, go out there and do these things if it's something you want to do and you want to try, but understand the unforeseen things, the unknown unknowns. They're there, and be mentally prepared and be financially prepared. when I worked in the construction industry, we used to set aside, 15 to 20% for overages, guaranteed, knowing they were going to happen. So that's something you may want to think about.
Yeah. And again, I'm just saying, first time home buyer, maybe this is a little bit over your, maybe above your pay grade. In that case, make sure you have a good team. Make sure you find individuals that have, again, the strategy you're looking for. Make sure they've done it before. Make sure they can kind of help oversee some of the things that are going to happen, and that they can help you with that. And if this is you trying to take it all on by yourself, like, just have the right attitude. Don't be defeated. Don't, just remember, pigs get slaughtered. Bulls and bears make money, but pigs get slaughtered.
Pigs get fat, hogs get slaughtered.
Know when your asset has become a liability and when it's losing money, and know when to get out.
Yes. And there's no shame in cutting your losses.
Nope.
It's a learning lesson. Maybe you can get a tax credit. I'm not a professional, but that could be something you could use to offset some of that, talk with other people like that. But
as long as you're prepared for that, I think that's good. And again, don't be fooled by the easy win, man. You get that first fixer-upper, it turns out great for you. You make tons of money.
Yeah.
Again, that's an easy win. Let's celebrate. But on the next one, let's again be prepared for something bad to go happen.
Yeah.
So, it's all fun until games, until somebody loses money.
Yes, absolutely. But yeah, don't be discouraged by this conversation here. Be prepared if that's something you're looking to do. Another thing, maybe if you're a carpenter handy type, you want to do it yourself. Like, understand that, like, we're gonna live here. We're gonna tear out the kitchen. It's gonna be a few months. We're gonna have to eat a lot of deliveries and Uber Eats and whatever, and then that's gonna be nice. And then the bathroom's gonna get torn out. Like, but understand that. Make sure your family understands that. You understand the project you're taking on. That may be the type of fixer-upper you need to start, or something along that lines. Like my neighbor did that. They live here, and they slowly renovated the house, and then they just got finished selling it. That was their thing.
Yep. That's definitely amazing.
Yeah.
Definitely
and
awesome.
Then, the last question, I used to get this a lot in the car business, and I'm sure you get this a lot in real estate, is how much should I underbid?
Me, I'm a homer kind of guy. As much of as an upholder as I am, I definitely do use a lot of data. Like, again, it all starts with this tiny little device you have in your hand here. Okay.
Yes.
If you are serious about buying a house, you want to get started, start looking. Look in the neighborhoods that you want. Look for the things that you want. Hopefully you can identify what you actually need over what you want. And when you see the same thing pop up, guess what's going to be attached to that same thing? A number.
Right.
You're going to see this number pop up, and you're going to see certain numbers pop up again and again. And again, if you have a good team, you can put this all out on a spreadsheet or all out on a CMA or whatever it's going to be, and they can show you what the numbers are. If you look at your numbers, right, you're going to see this thing called the mean. For those of you that don't know, right, mean and median, right? The mean is you take the average, take all of them, add them up, divide them by how many there are. That will get you your mean. Then from there, you get the median. The median is the one right in the middle. Okay, those two numbers is right around where you should at least be thinking about purchasing a property. From there, you will have the one that didn't sell way down here, and it's still on the market. I'm sorry, way up here, it's still on the market and it's active and it hasn't sold yet. Don't look at that price. And then the one that sold for the least amount of money, don't look at that price either. Right? Take the mean and the median, and somewhere just underneath it is probably where you want to be smart about cutting it. And if you've done your homework, you should know what that number is. I don't know.
And correct me if I'm wrong, your realtor should know the area and the value and say, this house is priced well, this house isn't priced well, this house is underpriced, we should actually be overbidding. Your realtor should be able to help you with that.
Yeah, again, I'm not trying to plug for realtors.
But generally that's who we're working with, right?
Well, just keep in mind that realtors, have been around. We adhere to the code of ethics. So it's somebody that's not, that shouldn't be steering you wrong ethically. Don't get me wrong. I've met a lot of unethical realtors in my day.
Yeah.
Not sure how they're still in business and still practicing. But yes, generally speaking, realtors should be able to get comparable homes that have sold either in the area, or if it's a unique custom home, they should be able to find homes that are not exactly like it, but they should be oranges to those apples, at least fruits, I'm gonna say.
Yeah.
And from there, you should be able to get a number. But again, use the mean, use the median prices, and then slightly go from there. If you see a home that is priced low on purpose, like you know that it sells for XYZ and it's priced already, don't be the guy to underbid that house. Like I just can't tell you how many times I've, advised my buyer to be, look, this house is under, like you're saying, like it's underpriced. We don't need to underbid this home. The seller already included that underbid in their asking price. This is the one that you actually bid over on. The realtor tells you that, don't be afraid to listen to that.
Right.
Because there are many times when that is real. But, main thing is that real estate is not always about numbers. It's not always about the how. Like people, I can't tell you how many people get into real estate thinking it's about real estate. Real estate has nothing to do with property. It is all about the people that own the property. You don't know why they're getting out. You don't know what their situation is. They don't know what your situation is and why you want to buy it. But somewhere you guys got to meet in the middle. I've had sellers pick lower priced offers for, I can tell you how many different reasons. Like, it is amazing. Like, this offer is higher. You don't want this offer? No, we want this one.
Yeah.
It's like, we like their cute little dog. Like whatever. Like, I don't know what the thing is, but it's just whatever the thing is, like you don't always know what that is.
Right.
So, yeah.
I know one of my favorite stories about that is there's this plot of land. I don't know where, somewhere in America. And there's a guy that owned it for, 20 or 30 years or something like that. And they wanted to build a strip mall there. And everybody kept coming. They had, architectural designs drawn up, and they brought the guy and showed him, look at this is what we're going to make. It's going to be beautiful. He's like, not selling. So then they bumped the offer. Look, we're going to pay you $1 million. It's only worth $750. He's like, I don't want to sell it. And then those guys got kind of bogged down, and another group came in and like, oh, we're going to do this, and look what we're going to do. We're going to make this big thing. It's going to be great. Like, we'll give you $2 million. He's like, I don't want to sell. So finally one guy came in and it's like, hey, like, why, what's your plans for this property? He's like, I want to sell it. And he's like, but you've been getting like millions over your what it's worth. He's like, I know. And he's like, so what is it going to take to get you to sell this property? He's like, well, I bought this 30 years ago for my family to leave a legacy. He's like, I just want the shopping mall named after me. But nobody had ever asked him why he wanted this, why, what would it take to sell this property? What do you want out of this? He didn't want the money. He just wanted the shopping mall to be named after him. So the guy's like, absolutely, guarantee, we'll put it in the contract.
Yep. Done.
And then they bought it for what it was worth. And the mall to this day, I don't remember what it's called, is named after this guy. And that every time his grandkids drive by, they're like, that's grandpa's legacy to us.
Yeah, that's the mall. Like, that's cool.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that a lot of people don't understand. It's like, they think it's just about numbers. Oh, I want to underbid so I can get a good deal. It's like, you kind of gotta know. And believe me, if the seller has a good real estate agent, you're not going to know what the motives are. You're not. But if you can find out what the motives are, what's behind it, that's going to get you the best deal that you can possibly get. Yeah. And then for those of you out there, I know you're out there. You're probably listening. Don't take it personally. I've had to deal with you in the past. I may not be talking to you personally, but somebody who's just like you, where it's all about the numbers game, and they never feel satisfied unless they absolutely have to get a discount. And it's just, I've dealt with you before. Yeah. You understand what it is about your DNA, but don't take it personal. I try my best to not take it personal. But if you're one of those people You always got to underbid. You always got to get that deal. You're never satisfied unless you get that deal. Like, just be mindful that the person you're submitting this offer to has a job and a duty and an obligation to submit your offer to the seller. Like, don't put in an unrealistic low ball offer, like the whole like 20-page contract. Just, if you're gonna do that, just do the first 2 pages that has who's buying it and the price, and just keep it to that, and just send that out and just be like, hey, this is the blanket offer I'm offering. If you're interested, I will send you the full offer, and just leave it at that. If they are going to take it, they will respond back to you, or they'll counter you. But most of the time, if they know what the home is worth, that offer is just the seller's just gonna look at it and be like, no, I'm not even interested. So just send the first 2 pages. It's usually the best way to get that out, and it saves the most time for you because you're writing the offer, and it saves the most time for the person that's reviewing it. I don't know. Anything you got to say on that? Because like I've done it before.
I've dealt with that so many times. I mean, I don't know how many times, like in the different various sales businesses, are like, here's what we paid for it from the manufacturer. I can't give it to you at less than I bought it for. And they're like, yeah, how about another $100? I would love to. I just can't. I bought it for $10,000. I'm giving it to you for $10,000. Nothing's happening here. I'm losing out here, actually here.
I know, right?
And they're like, yeah, I know what you're saying, but and they're never happy, and that's just that type of person.
Yeah,
you just gotta understand that.
They're never happy with it. Yeah.
And it'll never be happy. It's not cheap enough. And I've actually sold things the opposite way. Full price, like, in fact, too high sometimes, because in some business I've worked in it, like, let's start this up high because we're gonna come down anyway. And it's like, oh yeah, that works.
Yeah.
Well, excuse me? No, yeah, that's perfect. That's about what I was thinking.
Okay.
Yeah, cool. Let's sign this before you realize what the fuck's going on here.
Let's do it.
Yeah, because we generally negotiate. No, that's fine. Yes, just sign. and it's all about perspective. Getting a good deal is up to you. If you feel like you got a good deal and you pay full price, that's great. If you feel like you got a good deal and you paid cost, then that's all on you. It's all about perspective. So if you're working with those type of people, don't be mad. If you're that kind of person, let up a little bit.
Just like, yeah,
I get it, man. I like to save money too.
You're like one of the biggest Jews I know, but
hey, according to my DNA, I'm not Jewish. I would have thought I was. Like, I would have put money down, like, guaranteed. But
that's not. I don't know, man. Sometimes there are errors in that code, man.
Something's wrong. I think Chinese, nothing. That's like weird. I was like,
make sure they got the right markers on there, dude.
I think they switched my DNA at the lab. But I like to get a good deal like the next guy, and then sometimes I'll pay full price, knowing like I could have haggled a little, but man, I like what you're doing here. I'm gonna put a little money in your pocket. It's not a big deal. Like, I feel like I'm getting a good deal.
Yeah.
I know I could get less, but that's all right.
Yep.
That's better over time. But anything else that we think people should absolutely know? Starting this home buying process.
No, I think that's I think this is a good starter and stuff like that. If you guys have any questions or whatever, hit us up on all the regular social media. You know how to do it. And
email us or whatever. Yeah.
Back to you.
Especially with most of these, I think Ransom will have to answer these, or I'll consult with Ransom on my answer before replying. But also, if some aspect of this isn't attainable to you right now, like you go out and you're like, oh, yeah, listen to your credit. We have an episode we talk about credit and stuff. We talk about money and different things. Maybe you need to go back and check those out. It depends on your situation, but we do have a few other episodes in this realm to help you guys if there's one of these sticking points you need to go after a fix or whatever. There is. If you're looking for an investment side, we did a few episodes on different ideas on that stuff. Go check those out. I'll try and link to as many of those as I can think of. But other than that, giveaway. If you haven't saw the episode we did for the movie review, I'd say go back and look at that. Generation Freedom. I believe that was episode 42. The one right before this. we absolutely love the movie and the message and the premise. And I like to give away 5 people the opportunity to watch that movie and get those resources that they have there. So we're giving away 5 copies, access to the movie. It's up on their site, genfreedom.com. If you're interested in looking at it, go back and listen to the episode before. All the month of February, we're looking at giving, 5 people the opportunity to start that micro business. I love that word. Or that side hustle, or giving yourself permission to do something, whatever it is. Go back and watch the episode. Not head over to genfreedom.com. Check out what they got going on. We're giving 5 people a copy of this movie. Nobody's paying us. We're paying for this. Nothing to do with them at all. We really enjoyed it. We want to pass it on to you guys. Like we always do when we find great things, we want to give them away. Head over to thesocialchameleon.show/pick-me. Get entered into the giveaway, and hopefully you get a chance to win a copy. If not, I definitely recommend picking up and buying it. And like I said, is there any fundamental books we should recommend to people?
No, there's a few out there. I can't think of any off the top of my head, though.
If we come up with something, I'll put that in the show notes for you guys. I can only think of real estate investment type things, like, but there's good information out there on websites and stuff. And then we'll put the links to all the common, I want to call it third-party real estate kind of sites, the Zillows and the Trillion and stuff like that, as well as the authority sites, the realtor.com and MLS.com and stuff like that. We'll put all those links for you guys to easily access those. And then this week's challenge, I challenge you folks, if this is something you're looking at, get out there, go looking, go see a professional, whether it's a mortgage broker, or whether it's a realtor, or whether it's some type of somebody in that capacity, and find out where you're at, what you got to do. Start looking, start doing this stuff, start getting the experience, start doing these things. Like everything in life, you've got to start doing. We can all sit around, we can watch 8,000 YouTube videos. It don't mean shit unless you're out there doing. So start doing. And if it's not the right time for whatever reason for you, you got to do this or that. It's okay. Now. You're not sitting around your house. Oh, we should buy a house, but I don't know about our credit. Oh, but I don't know about if we have enough down. Go see a professional. Go see these people. Start doing. Go now.
Have you gone yet? Just checking. It's just like, well, for our final thoughts is, just where there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
If you are really looking at buying a house, it's something you really want to do, just get out there and start going and pick up the pieces. Don't worry about, oh, my credit's not perfect. Oh, I don't make enough money at the job. Like, go see what it is you want to do, and just keep the end in mind. And as the pieces come, you'll start to put the puzzle together. Just kind of, as you head out there, just believe that things will, things happen for a reason, right? They happen for you. They don't happen to you. They happen for you. And they will come together. It will definitely come together. You don't need all of your chickens in one egg. They'll get in there and they'll start becoming what they want to become. The main thing is just keep moving forward. And that's it.
And if you know some people that need help putting the puzzle together, share this with them. Help them get going, or giving us, some likes and reviews and stuff. And it's going to help us, this show and this episode, reach more people that are looking at stuff. That's the absolute best way to support the show. And in between episodes, you guys can check us out on social media, ask your questions, see what we're up to. Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. If you wanted to have a more personal conversation with myself and Ransom about this topic, email us and we'll, either I'll shoot it over to Ransom or I'll get an approved answer. Also subscribe on YouTube, your favorite podcast app, for past episodes and links to everything we talked about here today. You guys can make sure you head over to thesocialchameleon.show. And until next time, keep learning, growing, and transforming into the person you want to become.